Greetings. You know me. My name is Robert Shapiro, and you most often hear me channeling Grandfather, though at some point I'll channel some other beings that I feel really good about, and maybe you'll enjoy also. I wanted to talk to you about something today because I can feel the energy around me, and I can tell so many people are nervous and upset, and I don't blame you one bit. I understand that feeling well. This is something that happened to me many years ago while I was involved in writing my first book called Allies, and to be specific, channeling my first book with the help of many friends, including a very good friend at the time, Ed Mabe, as well as my editor, a really special guy, Alan. Well, anyway, not to get too far off the track. I was driving over to Alan's, and I think this was a couple of days before I was going to fly out to New York, and I hadn't flown very much. I don't remember if I'd flown in an airplane at all before that. Anyway, so I was nervous, not surprisingly, you understand that. And it was a very stressful time in other ways. I wasn't sure where I was going to live, and was kind of between things. You know that one. Anyway, I was driving, trying to find Alan's house, and I hadn't been there before. So I'm kind of winding my way through these streets in the Hollywood general area, kind of near the Hollywood Hills, but not quite. Alan lived in a tall building, but it was a nice old building, I guess. So picture this. I'm in my car. I finally realized exactly where I am, and I realized that Alan's house is right across the next street. It's a side street, and the one I was on was a side street. So I perk up and realize, hey, I found it. So no cars around, no cars in front of me, back of me, on either the side streets that I went by, nothing. It was just a quiet time of day. I got to the intersection, and all of a sudden, I wasn't in my car anymore. Everything around me wasn't there anymore. I wasn't physical anymore. There was light, and only light. It was white light, and it was incredibly loving. I hope you get that experience sometime while you're alive, but I can tell you it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, if not the most amazing. Here I am driving in my car, and all of a sudden, I'm not there anymore. I'm in this incredible light, which is just as incredibly loving. And one more amazing thing about it, there was no time. It was absolute timelessness. It could have been forever. It could have been for a couple of seconds. But it absolutely felt completely immortal. I'm not saying I am an immortal. I'm just saying I was with that energy at that time. So, after what seemed like an eternity, but not long enough, if you get my drift, since it was so much love, suddenly I was in my car again, on the other side of the intersection, and everything A-OK, no other cars around, and I was driving very slowly, and there were tears streaming down my face. I don't remember crying. It just suddenly, I was conscious of the tears streaming down my face, and it was because of the love. Well, I wanted to tell you about this today because I know that a lot of you might have been going through things like that in your life in the past or maybe now. And the crushing stress I was under was because of a lot of things. I didn't know what to make of that experience. I didn't know whether I was being called home to another world or what. All I remember is parking the car and finding my way up to Alan's apartment, and he could tell something was different about me, needless to say. He gave me a cup of tea and sat me down, and I told him about it. And then, after a time of rest, we proceeded on. He was the editor of my first book, Allies, and he helped me out there through that time. The next day I took my flight. I didn't know what was going to happen, but sure enough, a smooth flight, landed, and my friend Ed, who was already out in New York, picked me up, and that was that. Couple of things. Sometimes when you have an amazing spiritual experience and you don't know what it's about, it may not be that you're being called home. It may be that God just wants to let you know that you're an important person and that God loves you. That's how I felt about it at the time, and I wanted to share it with you. But there's another thing, and that's that I believe that we come from this light, and we return to it. So, whatever we do here, wherever we're from and wherever we're going, at some point we came from that light, and at some point we're going to be back in it. So I just wanted to share that with you, so you could maybe be comforted in some way. It was one of the greatest comforts I ever had. Good life.